Right, pencils down, please. Sitting up. Jose, it's time. All right, so we're going to move on to autocracy and dictatorship. Dictatorship. Ready?
Yes, we're going to talk about autocracy and dictatorship. Autocracy is a type of government where only one person rules and makes decisions. There are two types of autocracies: dictatorship and monarchy. Monarchy is when a king or queen rules. Kings and queens rule for life. And how a new king or queen is chosen is from the previous king or queen's eldest son or daughter. There are two types of monarchy. Constitutional monarchies is when a law limits their power and what they can do. And an absolute monarchy happens when there's no law or anything limiting the king or queen. For instance, a king or queen, one absolute or constitutional monarchy is King John in the English, I can't remember. But there's also dictatorship. Dictatorship is when one person or political party rules an entire country. They're called a dictator. In dictatorship, people usually have less rights and less freedom. Dictators usually rule selfishly. How does someone become a dictator? People usually become dictators when there's a problem. And there's a problem in a country. They are usually rich or have a lot of followers or are owners of big companies. For example, Adolf Hitler became the dictator of Germany after World War I. Everything was destroyed and there was a Great Depression. He was very powerful with the Nazis. How does a dictator secure his or her place? The first thing a dictator has to do to secure their place, they have to get rid of their opponents who may be political or religious. They will have them thrown in jail, sent out of the country, or even killed. They will also remove groups they don't believe in. Dictators will normally rewrite the Constitution. They force people to follow their rules. This usually involves a secret police or death squad. Dictators usually take one group of people who might be political or religious and blame all the problems on them. Then they use as much military power as they can against them. The pros and cons of dictatorship. Some of the good sides of dictatorship are that decisions are made faster, it mostly offers structure, and it works best if you need a directive leadership. The bad sides are people have less freedom, only one person or political party rules, people don't get to choose who their leader should be, and most dictators rule forcefully. But there's also some pros and cons of monarchy. Some of the pros of monarchy is that you will always have a leader most of the time, as long as you have a kid. But the bad side is monarchies you don't get to choose who you want to be leader in monarchies. And usually good leadership skills aren't genetic, meaning that you can't pass down good leadership into your children. I don't think that's how it works. But thank you for listening.
Okay, so same thing. We're gonna have a question and answer session first, and then as experts, you're gonna go and help the groups. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So any questions? No.
Yes, then.
So monarchy, you don't get to decide which leaders, right?
Yeah, because they're all
You don't get to decide in dictatorship or monarchy. Both of them you don't get to decide.
Okay.
Also in monarchy, yeah.
Toma? The countries. What did you say? Countries to know.
Oh, the countries.
Oh,
Countries. Germany had a dictator, Adolf Hitler, for example, or North Korea with Kim Jong-un. That his name is.
And there's also in Russia, Putin. What's his name? Putin. I can't remember his first name. Sorry, Putin, whatever he was. But in monarchy, some examples of monarchy is in Great Britain. You know, the Queen Elizabeth II, and also Saudi Arabia. I don't know the name of the leader. Do you guys have any other questions? Yes, Claire?
What are the famous leaders?
Oh, we
Adolf
just said.
Hitler in Dictatorship, Adolf Hitler, or in Germany. He used to be dictator.
He died
Yeah, Kim
because he killed
Jong-un
himself.
from North Korea.
He's still alive. And Putin from Russia, you know. And Napoleon too.
Oh
Actually.
yeah. Any other questions?
Napoleon.
What are some cons?
What?
Cons? What are some cons?
The cons of dictatorships are people don't get to choose who their leader is. Most dictators rule with force, and they have less freedom and less rights.
Right, because no one gets to help the dictator except for the dictator
And
himself.
for a problem, there's basically mostly only one perspective that views one problem, and then basically the laws are from one perspective, made from one perspective.
Yes.
What are some pros?
Some pros.
Decisions are made faster. It offers structure, and it works best if you need a directive leadership.
So we've answered the pros and cons for dictatorship. Do you need any pros and cons for monarchy? Or did you write that down?
So because we're talking about two different kinds of dictatorship.
Autocracy.
No, two different types, monarchy and
The
Dictatorship.
pros and cons, we just said were for dictatorship, so Kira can tell you some for
so
monarchy.
you might want to split your pros and cons columns
Yeah. They're
because
similar.
I only gave you one.
They're similar, but different. Monarchy.
Yeah, things in
Some things that monarchy and dictatorship have in common is that no one gets to choose.
No one gets to choose who their leader is, and they're mostly ruled, sometimes ruled with force.
Yeah, I guess. And the pros and cons. Yeah. Then
But I have a question. So a dictatorship, monarchy is like you don't get to choose a leader, but dictatorship, it's like they get to choose a leader,
no,
right?
they don't.
No, neither of them. They don't get to choose a leader at all.
But in monarchy, the leader is already chosen for.
And in dictatorship, people just take over.
Oh, okay.
Like, for example, if Mr. Emin was the
Actually-
rightful leader of the school, Mr. Moore came and wanted to take over.
Or say,
But in a monarchy, Mr. Emin's monarchy, if he had like a son, he would be the next principal of the school.
dictatorship is say, I don't know, Fabiano would be like, Fabiano would be like, I know how to rule a school, I'm gonna rule the school. And no one gets to be in my way because I have a death squad behind me, okay?
All right, so why don't you guys get in groups and you two can float around helping people, all right?
You want to be Bruce Fabiano? Oh, what about you?
Oh, what's that?
You know, monarchy, crown, throne.
What's the famous leagues that you think?
Adolf Hitler and Kim Jong-un. or two. Or Napoleon.
Like Kim Jong Un, the leader of
That's what I just
Korea.
said. Well, I have three. Napoleon, Adolf Hitler, Kim, whatever, Kim Jong Un.
I think I don't prefer it.
Oh my god, I love you drawing. No, Claire's drawing.
No, no.
Why? So cute.
For a second, I thought I was looking. Okay, that's a fine image.